Hi there, everybody. My name is Evan Nill. I am going to be running through your orientation as far as your ethical code and as far as Boys and Girls Clubs of America is concerned. Some things that I'm going to be covering for you, first and foremost, is the history of the club, where we come from, and so on. Then I will explain the mission statement of the Boys and Girls Club, and then we'll get into the ethics. First, we'll cover things that will be um, protecting the members of the club, then protecting the staff members, um, and then just an ethical code, things that you should be living by. So, first and foremost, the history of the Boys and Girls Club. It started in the 1860s with a group of women that thought that there should be an alternative for uh, young men that were just messing around in the streets and they wanted to give them some guidance. So their main goal was keeping the interests of the kids in order to help them develop character and life skills. The club, however, wasn't known as the Boys and Girls Club of America until the 1990s. Before then, it was just known as the Boys Club. So it was just in reaches to help the public understand that women do add to society, and they are obviously very um, apparent in the Boys and Girls Club as a whole. So our mission, it actually ties in well with our history or why the Boys and Girls Club was developed. Um, it is meant to give children a safe place to be themselves, and that's with a productive and caring environment that will help them gain self-actualization. Um, so there are plenty of programs that the Boys and Girls Club offer. First and foremost, there's mentorship and there's tutoring to help them succeed in school. But there's also it's a place for healthy meals. So a lot of times in the school year, if children come from impoverished families, they are dependent on schooling in order to get lunch, and sometimes that's the only meals they get. Um, During the summer program, the Boys and Girls Club offers a meal program so that the kids aren't left hungry. Um, Now, the goal is to raise these children to be valued and respected members of society, and that's by imbuing them um, as young individuals with good character, citizenship, and by teaching them a healthy lifestyle. So, with that being said, there is an ethical code in order to do so. Um, on this screen, you can see that there is a pledge of personal and professional conduct, and it's 5 steps. They're pretty straightforward. First and foremost is integrity, and that's probably the most valuable trait. It's just the ability to be honest, and I think that's valuable in any sort of business. You want your employees to be honest. Uh, we want our employees to be able to collaborate with one another, be open and honest, and share ideas. We want them to hold accountability for themselves and for their actions. They need to know the difference between right and wrong and hold themselves accountable if they know they did something wrong. Uh, they need to respect themselves, they need to respect the members and their fellow employees, and they need to be committed to excellence. They should hold themselves to a high standard. And obviously, since I'm running you through this, we had seen those qualities in you as an employee, so we wanted to just convey that these are things that we like to see in our employees. Now, as far as protecting our members is concerned in an ethical code, confidentiality, and this is a big one because a lot of people aren't understanding of the fact that um, there's certain situations at home with the kids that would uh, make it necessary for them to kind of be off the grid, for lack of a better term. Um, if there's a situation at home to where maybe they had to be put into a foster care system because of um, issues with their parents, or perhaps there's a restraining order from one of the parents of um, because of issues at home, it's necessary to keep their information confidential because you don't want that parent or any individual that shouldn't be knowing where they are coming to the club and doing whatever they might do. So there's also a code for professional conduct, and that would be obviously just adhering to the codes of understanding that you're dealing with children and understanding that if they're looking up to you, they're going to embody your characteristics. So it's good to act in a professional manner and with professional conduct. Otherwise, they will see that and they'll be influenced by your actions. Within the club, there's a lot of fundraising, and that means you're dealing with money. And with that being said, uh, it's necessary to understand that the money that you're fundraising is going to the children. And if you end up stealing, you're stealing from the children, not from the club. So, that being said, that is an ethical concern. And obviously, there's conflicts of interest, and the biggest one is with social media. So, if you're posting things that don't adhere to our code, it's conflicting the interest of the company or the club. So, just keep that in mind. And one thing, and this is probably the biggest thing to protect you that you need to be aware of, is there is a whistleblower compliance. So if there's ever an issue that you see in the club um, with perhaps a child's demeanor or maybe another staff member treating a child in a way that's unethical, there are avenues that you can take to record and document that issue and get your voice heard, but do it anonymously. And that's important because you want to protect yourself. And we have avenues for you to do so. Now, that concludes the ethical code presentation. And if you want to look a little bit further into that, I do have some websites here that share our information as far as our background history and digs a little deeper into our ethics. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to contact me. Otherwise, welcome to the Boys and Girls Club of America.